Please welcome to the screen, Shanae Adams.
On August 19th, 2014, Mike Brown was shot in Ferguson, Missouri by police. His crime? Asking the police not to shoot him. 1 year later, to commiserate his murder, Talib Kweli and Common hosted a benefit concert in St. Louis. At the time, I was living in Omaha, Nebraska, surrounded by white folks and corn. A friend of mine planned to attend the concert and asked that I join her. As a graduate of the University of Missouri, I had made the 2-hour drive to St. Louis many times from Columbia. I loved how Black the city was, the sense of community, and jumped at the opportunity to see some of my favorite St. Lunatics. I decided I would drive to my alma mater, say hey to my people, and continue on to St. Louis. I made a plan to stay with my best friend for a few nights, head on to St. Louis, back to Columbia, and then home to Omaha. My main goal for this trip was to be in community. I believe that community is the cure for everything. And I was overdue for a melanin infusion after being in Omaha for nearly a year. I loaded my car and started on the 5-hour trek to Columbia. The drive wasn't particularly eventful. I pre-gamed my playlist with my favorite common hits because if I was going to show up, I intended to show out. I got to Columbia about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, let myself into my best friend's house, and immediately crashed on the couch with a pillow and sheets I assumed were for me. This feels like a good time to tell you I have asthma and allergies. Like, seriously, I'm allergic to the world. I have 2 prescription allergy meds, 2 inhalers. I do a nebulizer treatment weekly. It's that deep. All this to say, I'm cautious about the environments I stay in. I guess it was good. I showed up in the middle of the night and didn't have on the energy to turn on the lights because when I woke up, sugar, honey, iced tea, had I seen that shit, I would have dipped. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my best friend, but his house was filthy. Covered in animal hair, trash piled up in the corners, month-old dishes in the sink, and the dust. I felt it before I saw it. And no, he's not, but he's married to one. I woke up itchy with constricted airflow and 0 funds for a hotel. Regardless, I left that house instantaneously. I turned to social media to find suitable accommodations, and my prayers were answered by my on again, off again, we'll call her Lil Bit. Lil Bit said I could come through, bathe, and get my life together. I met Lil Bit when I transferred to Mizzou my sophomore year, her freshman. We met in the LGBTQ Resource Center where my best friend was the GA, and the center always had a shit ton of buttons. And on this particular day, they had ally and LGBTQ buttons. I remember when she walked into the center, I loved her walk. Her legs were thick and strong, and her waist was tight, and that ass sat high atop it. She had run track all through high school, and she had a banging track body and a banging track booty. When she sat down, we started talking about The Matrix and how it was the best movie and most perfect movie ever and how you can use it to explain anything. But ultimately, it's all about how you have to accept yourself in order to be free. And at the time, she was identifying as straight. But I could read and taste the queer air all around her, so I presented her with the choice of buttons, much like Orpheus did Neo. Ally in one hand, LGBTQ in the other. She chose ally, and that began our playful on and off again relationship. When she messaged me that I could stay with her, that began some questions to pop into the back of my mind about whether or not we would fuck. As we were currently in an off, I didn't pay too much mind. Shit, I needed a safe place to sleep and a shower, and anything else that I may have gotten or may not have gotten would have been sprinkles on the top. I remember after my shower and a proper nap, folks came through to her house and we vibed, we smoked, we chilled, we were in community. Community, when done correctly and authentically, gives you a recharge like no shot of albuterol will, especially Black community. The nuance and the laughs, the dancing, the food, the weed, the jokes. I was in bliss after being surrounded with white folks and corn. We all had an understanding of the power of joy and we brought our full selves into the space to enjoy it. The perfect gathering of community also incorporates ritual, my favorite being smoking, the ritual of puff, puff, pass. Not puff, puff, hold, not puff, 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 not puff, tell a story, puff, tell a story, but puff, puff, pass. Through passing the blunt, we all share DNA and pheromones, and as we're all on the same plant medicine, we elevate higher. I remember throughout the night, Lil Bit kept fucking with me, touching on me and looking at me and dancing at me, and I would tell her to stop playing with me because I would take her down. Now, there's nothing like being with people on your wavelength to make your dick jump. And at some point in the night, it jumped right on all over to her in the middle of the living room floor. At the end of the night, as we were clearing up after the kickback, I asked her what was up. Why was she touching on me and shit? What did she want? And as we're both Tauruses, there's a certain level of stubbornness between us. And she continued to play coy and shy with my questioning. I remember that she was wearing sweats and a baggy t-shirt throughout the kickback. And when I returned to the kitchen where she was washing cups, she no longer had on her sweats. Shit, that was as much of an opening that I needed. I walked up behind her at the sink, wrapped my hands around her waist, and whispered into her neck and her ear, "Are you done playing?" My favorite part of sex is the response that I get. If they ain't squirming and making noise and in need of a firm grasp, what's the point? And despite our off status, we had the playbook of our bomb sex memorized. I lifted her firm ass up from the sink, and we made our way over to the living room floor. We spent forever on that floor. Legs wrapped around hips, tongues in the most delicate and sensitive of places, but our connection was more than physical. It was spiritual. It was the most liberating and most intimate partaking of community that I had had at that point in my life. On that floor, I found a utopia, a space where all my intersections rested, a space free of anti-Blackness, you see, to experience the love and pleasure of a Black femme as a Black femme is the most powerful form of activism there is. Pleasure and liberation are two sides of the same coin, and I was so privileged by the universe to be bestowed that blessing. You see, a lot of people think that queer Black femmes exist at the bottom of the societal totem pole. A lot of people think that ultimately they're looking down or trickling down to us. But we know that we are powerful, magical beings that have the ability to see everyone fully. So in actuality, it is us who look down on them. But when queer Black femmes look at each other, we look across. It's like looking into a mirror. We can hold ourselves in full view that the world blends into one lens. And we magnify that, which makes us dynamic and mighty. My first time being viewed so fully scared me, but now it's a prerequisite for every relationship that I engage in. I woke up the next morning, rug burned, sore, late, but vibrating on a cellular level. The drive to St. Louis flew by, with every mile marker another flashback. My senses were flooded with her. I could feel her lips on my neck, her soft body perched perfectly on my lap. Hell, I would have bet money the Zaxby's lemonade I was drinking was her nectar. All that said, I was still surprised when she called me later in the day to check in. At first, I was expecting emotions. Oh my God, we shouldn't have done that. What the fucks? Or possibly her calling to say that she was vibrating and flashing back too. Or maybe I left my whatever at her house. Her voice had a melody I had never heard before. It dripped and oozed with passion and with wants, and my dick perked with every laugh. She wished me a good concert and said she would see me when I got back. I walked back to my friend, who immediately commented on my now reinforced sex glow. It was like my body transported back to her, and I couldn't wait to be physically back in her liberating embrace. We got to the concert venue early as fuck. But that secured us a position at the top of the stage. I touched Common with consent, and Talib and I made eye contact several times throughout the show. The night was lit. Local artists performed, and there was nothing like hearing the support of the city to make those artists pop off. Talib opened the show, stating that this concert was about honoring and celebrating Mike Brown and our other brothers, sisters, and siblings we had lost to the bullshit of the United States. Talib wanted this concert to re-charge us, activate us, invoke us to create change in our communities. This concert was a time to allow ourselves to feel a part of something greater, remind us that we're worthy and entitled to our lives, and take up as much damn space as we damn well please. The energy I felt in the room was amazing, but it paled in comparison to the true liberation that I had felt the night before on the floor with Lil Bit. It was almost like my body wouldn't settle completely in this space. See, the concert hall rested in the realm of patriarchy, underscored by the massage noir hip hop, and painted with the very real threat that at any time, any one of us could be the next hashtag. As much as I felt connected to my fellow concert patrons, I struggled to keep myself in this realm. My thoughts and body intermittently escaped to the realm of intimacy, oneness, and purity, escaped to the universe that existed above the living room floor. It took me a while to understand the limited liberation I had felt at the concert. I now know that community is a special concoction of personalities blended in intention with ritual and with people that see you. The concert hall had most of that in abundance. Music, vibes, tree hung in the air, and we were all together, but there was no way for the men on stage and around me to fully see me. I found that while queer Black women can see everyone fully, men break women and femmes into pieces to make what they see fit what they want. And throughout the show, I was also reminded of the labor that men expect from women and femmes and how men don't lead social change. Behind damn near every move you can think of, there were queer Black femmes pushing and running the show. You see, this liberation was a nice appetizer, but I knew a full course of pure and true liberation was only 2 hours away. For the only true space, free of all the isms, the anti-Blackness, the bullshit of society, resides in the bedrooms of queer Black femmes. Thank you.